Yes, that's right. I'm live. I am currently in the middle of combat setting this up, but this is Ultima 4, one of my favorite games. And since this channel is mostly about politics, I'd take a little bit of a break because rather, even though it was a rather eventful day, in politics with Putin's arrival to Alaska, and very little got done, but apparently we were discussing the 2015-2016 election. That seems to be what Trump and Putin discussed today. Not ending the war in Ukraine or anything else, but there were a lot of oligarch businessmen there, and not entirely sure what got worked out behind closed doors. I know prior to the visit, the discussion was that they were going to open up some resources to mining for Russian companies in Alaska, which I'm not sure why we would even consider that idea. And certainly nothing got done about Ukraine. So awesome. So be right back. And we're back. Yeah, so Putin came to Alaska today. They rolled out the red carpet. Trump did a literal weave instead of his verbal figurative weave on the red carpet. That was, anybody else think that was a little nuts? I thought that was a little nuts. Yeah, he literally did one of these. He did like an S down the red carpet. Um, Putin apparently, I haven't seen the video yet, but I gather Putin yelled at some reporters, and the whole thing is ridiculous because everything I've read is Putin speaks fluent English, and he he continually uses the translator, and everybody acts like he needs the translator. It's absolutely hilarious. And then afterwards, no deal. They canceled the lunch. No deals were made, and Trump left with his tail between his legs, talking about the Russia hoax and how Putin. Here's an interesting question. So Trump said that Putin told him that Trump won the 2020 election by a landslide. How would Putin know? Did he have access to something? Like seriously, I mean, that would be the first logical question: is how do you know? Right? Just nuts. Anyway, for those who don't know, I'll talk a little bit about the game. Ultima 4 is one of my favorite games. It's part of the Ultima series. And it is one of the first, you can't really tell right now because I'm in kind of a gold farming stage, but it was the very first video game that wasn't just where you didn't just go murder hobo. You actually had to, in order to advance in this game, you actually have to have a moral code. You actually have to, because the plot is that there's no invasion that you have to stop. There's no big bad or anything else in this game. The goal of the game is to embody the 8 virtues of an avatar and to be an example to the people here, the citizenry, as they had lost their way. Since this is the 4th, you can probably imagine that the sequels establish the game world and everything else. It's was very much a groundbreaking game for its time, and especially since it was the first game where your actions in the game had literal consequences. There are actually several fail conditions. There are things that you could do in this game that would make it impossible for you to win, which was actually kind of groundbreaking at the time. And really, it's one of my favorite games. I think some of the, I hate to say values of video games teach, but let's face it, that's kind of how we get our whatever today. But the virtues, the game's creator were they claim that the virtues he puts in here are based on this eightfold path or sevenfold path of Buddhism, but Lord Richard Garriott has always denied that claim, even though it matches very closely. But you have to advance in these virtues, and there's a town in the game world that's associated with each virtue. And I'm kind of doing a bit of a speed run because very, very long ago when I was a kid, I discovered that the easiest way to advance in this game is not to pick up your teammates or your companions. You can recruit 7 others, or 6, I think, 6, 7. But as you can see right now, I'm just fighting like one monster or something like that. The more companions we pick up, the harder the combat. The more enemies, the harder they are. So to advance requires a lot of gold to get basically to equip every character. It requires a lot of gold. So the fastest way to gold farm is to just not get any of the party members. That way, you're only fighting one, and you get a chest of gold after the end of every combat. So the quicker the combat, the faster you can get gold. So when there's like 10 or 15 enemies, it obviously takes a very long time for combat to end. Whereas this way, it goes quickly. And that was the worst. Yeah, all the chests are always trapped. I need to mix regents. Cure. And as I recall correctly, it is ginseng and garlic. There we go. That was a new one. I have no idea what that was. But the goal of the game is to advance in the virtues, and you do that by performing certain tasks in the game. For the virtue of spirituality, you have to visit certain townspeople and locations. For the virtue of honor, which you have to, I forget what is the honor. I think you have to basically it's more combat related. Same with valor is combat related. Honesty is a little bit of an interesting one. There is in order to, as you can see, it has a little bit of a different spell system. In order to cast spells, you actually have to create the spells. So you have to mix it with basically reagents, kind of like chemistry. But in order to buy them, you have to go to a shop. And the interesting test for honesty is that the shopkeeper for the reagents is blind. and you are told that they are blind. And it's the only shop in the game where you can decide how you can actually decide how much you're going to pay for something. So you can actually buy very expensive reagents for pennies as long as you're willing to cheat the shopkeeper. However, there's a hidden ticker in the background that basically that dings you on honesty to the point where if you do it often enough, there's no way you can win the game. And it's a little bit of a hidden feature that you don't even really know about unless you are actually understanding of the game and what you're trying to do. So again, like I said, this is one of the first games that has like true moral consequences for your actions. So it's very similar to like a Mass Effect in that way, in that you could literally get to a fail condition by performing certain acts or doing certain things. Although in Mass Effect, you could actually be a bad guy and face no consequence and still complete the game. In this one, you cannot. Some of the others, there's justice. There's a few things you can do for justice. Compassion. There's like homeless shelters essentially, or food shelters within the game where you can donate, and that gets you your sacrifice or compassion. The game was this game was groundbreaking for its time, and it had a very kind of interesting gazer, but D&D fans will know that's a beholder. Oh, and it also had this kind of a weird dynamic where you actually cannot travel fast through different types of terrain. That again, that was another kind of groundbreaking feature at the time where you can't just travel quickly through mountains and hills. You actually had to you'd slow down in forests and stuff like that. Now each town is associated with a virtue. For instance, this town here, Britain, was associated with spirituality, and here you can recruit one of the party members. His name is Yolo, and he is a bard, and he is right there. He's the guy playing music. And again, what was different for this game at the time is that not every town had every shop. You actually had to travel the world in order to get all the things that you needed. And also the whole food aspect, which really is a pain. And why I'm farming gold is one, I need to buy all the reagents that I can, and those are expensive. And the second reason is that there's some weaponry in the game that is the best until you get to the end game, in which in the end game you can only use certain kinds of weaponry and armor, and that is free, but you have to find it. But before then, for everything else, the magic axe there is the best weapon for fighter types, and then there's a magic wand that is for more of the caster types. Now on Alaska and Trump's visit with Putin, obviously the Ukraine war is not going to end. I think there was discussion of an aerial ceasefire, which so pause drone attacks, I guess, or something. pretty soon, I should be able to find a pirate ship that I can that will attack me, and I can board it. Once I defeat the pirates, I can take over the ship, and then I'll get some sea travel going. Other than that, there's another aspect to it called moon gates, which will allow you to travel, fast travel essentially. Oh, another interesting mechanic in this game is that in order to get one of the items that you need to beat the game, you actually have to fly in a hot air balloon. And you can see down below there's the wind. Wind actually has an aspect, so it acts like terrain on the water. So you actually cannot travel really against the wind. See, I've already gotten a ship and I just parked it there. Now this is one of the places where I can actually show I can show the mechanic on the honesty factor, which is kind of interesting because there is a magic shop here. I don't need any armor. Transact. Yes, I do need to buy some packs. 25 for only 30. 20 packs of 25, would you like? I'll take 4. Add 100 food. No. You can also get a horse here. I swore there was a reagent shop here, but sometimes the shops are hidden. There we go. You can buy a horse. Just sometimes the shops are hidden. Now, where I'm going to head next is a place called, hopefully, Buccaneer's Den. You can see occasionally here it says slow progress. That's the effect of the wind. And this is New Magencia. Nope, Buccaneer's Den. This is exactly where I'm going to be. So this is the kind of hidden town, so to speak, that you can get a lot of the higher end stuff. Now, in the game world itself, your character or yourself is the stranger from Earth, basically. In Ultima 1, the stranger is summoned from Earth to save from an evil wizard. Standard fantasy game stuff, very early. Later, in the second one, it would be you have to travel through time, kind of like a Time Bandits kind of thing. In fact, that's what it was based on. Ultima 2 was based on kind of a Time Bandits type thing. And you had to travel through time and space to defeat another evil wizard. Of course. See, magic bows, magic wands. The wands, 5,000. See, it's expensive. That's why I'm farming gold right there. 0. Yes. There's the magic bows. Oh, 2,000. Gonna be a no on that, dog. Just went to check. I'd forgotten how much they were. Gonna make it easy on myself. Just keep a boat near. That's why I put my boat here, because Buccaneer's Den can be kind of hard to find. So if I just leave my boat here, I know if I just head that way, I'll find it. But as you can see, I have to get a lot of gold. Ouch. Yeah, I'm getting my ass kicked. So you actually have to rest in order to heal up. You do not heal naturally unless you cast a heal spell, which I just did. So getting back to, so Trump also announced he's going to militarize or send the military into a bunch of U.S. cities, which is of course completely legal. I technically he could do D.C. Um, very technically, DC is a federal district in the Constitution, and it is technically administered by the federal government. There are some probably legal ramifications there of whether that's historically that's been Congress that runs DC and not the executive branch. But I could see, I mean, there's a bit of a legal fig leaf there for them to do that. Yeah, it's a very kind of boring part of the game because I'm really just farming gold. As you can see, I need to get at least, if I remember correctly, I need to get like 3 or 4 of those magic wands. I need to get 2 or 3. I need to get 2 of the magic bows, and then 3 of the magic axes. Now I think the magic axes though are probably the cheapest. They're like 2,000 gold, so I could technically stock up on those, but I'm going to need many of them. So I'm just going to go to the max gold of 9,999, stock up on a few, then rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Interestingly, in this game, though, there are 2 magical reagents that you can only find in the game world. You have to actually search for them. You can't just grab them. You can't just purchase them. Yeah, I just felt like that. And some of the later Ultimas really get quite heavily involved in the morality of choices and everything else. The next game takes it to the absolute next level. But this was the start, and it is one of my favorites because when you're a kid, some of that stuff really hits. Oh, there's Demon. Oh, Balron. Shoot, I hate those things. A Balron is obviously like a Balrog or something like that. Obviously. No, I don't want to be here. Ouch. Whew. That was about bad. And that's why you don't just hold down the spacebar and hit pass. That would be why. So yeah, nothing got accomplished at the visit. Oh, I really didn't want to be here again. And the phases of the moon determine where you go when you use these gates. Even worse, this is the town of Valor. Actually, never ever buy anything in here. Oh no, this is Scarabray. So this is the town of spirituality. Here's where you get your ranger uh, party member, Shamano. Hadn't guessed yet that sacrifice one. Ah, here we go. This is the honesty part. This is the honesty test. So if you look at the text here, you can see a blind woman turns to you and says, "Welcome to Herbs and Spice. I am Sasha. Are you in need of reagents?" Yes. And we could use some garlic. Oh, we sell garlic for 9 gold pieces. How many would you like? So you could say however many you want. I'm going to buy. So I'm going to buy 50. Now, see, here's the honesty test. Very good. That will be 450 gold pieces. You pay, and you could pay whatever you want. But if you're being honest, you pay 450. Right now, I'm kind of stuck on the island, so I got to get out. I got to get out of here. This is one of those mechanics that kind of sounds good on paper, but in implementation, it's a bit of a time waster. Keep in mind, though, this looked way better on an Apple IIe for sure. It was very green. Off we go. Forest, deep forest. This would probably be the city of justice, which would be you. And that intersection probably looks familiar, because I was just here a little bit ago. And I need to buy at least one more gold magic axe. I think I have two. Yeah. That was real dumb of me. This kind of passage at least the other part of the continent. The hills are kind of a pain in the ass to travel, so and we get gold and we get gold and we get gold. Now this interesting little patch of swamp is actually where you get one of those reagents, spell reagents that you can only gather at certain times. This one is when it is a new moon, I believe, when it's both a new moon. And then I think I just saw someone sent me that Trump has announced the cities he intends to send the military into, all of which, of course, unconstitutional and highly illegal. But since he did the DC thing, which technically he was able to, I think he thinks he can do that. While we're here, we'll pick up some of that. Again, like a lot of retro games, there is a significant grind going on that you have to do. Takes a while. Then, of course, there's the other interesting news. I'm not actually surprised Trump's was meeting with Putin. Honestly, the Oval Office looks like an Eastern European mobster's nightmare. I need to mix. Go. There, I got what I came for on that one. Now we'll go see if I can buy another magic axe. Gotta go over here. Wrong town. Figures. This is Minot, town of sacrifice. We need axe. So now we're traveling back here. And just getting going. Oh, the rose garden looks like shit too. And this is how you judge your progress through the game. Okay, so this is one of the pieces of the win condition on the game is I have achieved Avatarhood in Valor. Okay, so there's two that I'm done. So that's valor, honor, compassion, sacrifice, spirituality. What else? Sacrifice, compassion, spirituality, justice, honor, valor, humility. That'd be it. Let's see if I gain a level or two. There they are. You know, I don't think I asked about justice. So the only flaw here is it doesn't actually let you quit. You can save, but it doesn't let you quit. And interestingly enough, for this game at 7, I'm already almost at max level. So let's go get a couple more of those bows. It's about time to start gathering my party members here. Oh, just like that, the gold is gone. That's it for this game tonight. Politics wise, we're kind of in a disaster zone. I don't really know what else to say. It's pretty bad. And Trump obviously didn't get anything done. But thanks for watching. I really enjoy that game. It is a groundbreaking game. I know it's a very old one and it can be kind of boring, but it is really a groundbreaking game that requires you to make choices, requires you to act in a moral way. It was one of the earliest games I played. It was really interesting. Thanks. Bye.